Con up, peace to the tribe up with me. House of Cons, the West Indian. Bless the child that could hold his own. The Most High, I pray thee, reveal the unknown. Shalom, I was born in the house of Cons, the land of Jacob, where it's fertile, plenty fields of corn. See me walking through the valley with my staff and shield. Back in Egypt, one day Moses even had to kill a hard pill to swallow that's real. Tomorrow, and I promise to be honest, you'll do whatever to live. And like birds of a feather, all my nagas together at the temple praying, paying homage to ancestors that were led to the slaughter by the preachers and missions, labeled savage and invaded by the cannibal Christians. From then on, it was doomed our verses covered in lies, till the truth was beneath the surface. Open your eyes, and those who remain will be your remnant. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. An emblem of America personified as a naga in feathers, gun on my side. My naga's back whatever, taking back what's ours. My naga not a never, standing at the tower of Babylon, and we gon' tear it down. We don't worship the sun. Matter of fact, or something like the son of none. On King David, the Messiah, one of Jacob's sons. 12 tribes of evil from the other side. The promised land was where my grandmother died. The motherland in America where I reside. Blackjack, war chief for my own tribe. Now those folk don't be lacking in my corridor. House of Cons, I was born in La Florida. And those who remain will be a remnant. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. Tribe up, con up, peace to the tribe, peace to the family. Salute to the nation, salute to the bloodline, salute to the sons and daughters of Jacob. Con up, tribe up in the promised land, stronghold of the Naga. It's Blackjack, House of Cons, tribe up, the West Indian salute. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. I still remain the West Indian. And to this day, I still remain the West Indian. Tribe up, great day. Hey, welcome to the House of Cons. I'm Blackjack. Salute to everybody in the house, each and every one of y'all. Salute, tribe up, salute to y'all, man. Of course they tried to hijack the stream early. That's why we had the long intro. Get the computer time to go on and work its way through the hijack. I still got my soundboard moving slow. Applause coming all late. Salute to everybody in the house, man. I appreciate the support. Salute to Anthony Barnett in the house, Mo Naga in the house, Bronze Flat, Power Guards in the house. You know what I'm saying? I got some loyal people. I appreciate all y'all. And like Anthony Barnett say, hey, I appreciate you too, Anthony Barnett, and we're gonna continue this important subject matter about Columbus trying to find a route to the Indies and all of this and that, and the, you know, the story they tell us. They know they done effed up, right? You know, sometimes you gotta examine the evidence, and you gotta catch a crook in a lie. And it's very easily done and often, because one thing about it, my grandma always told me, she taught me not to be a liar, because she said you can't prove no lie no matter what you do. You're going to just have to keep making up more and more lies, trying to make one lie true. You cannot prove a lie. If you lie and say the sky green, you're going to turn around and have to prove it. And what you're going to have to do to prove that the sky green, you're going to have to tell a whole lot of other lies and deception, right? Because we can easily walk outside and see the sky's not green that day or night. If it is, something wrong. But you can't prove a lie. But one thing you can easily prove is the truth. So when somebody go to lie, the easiest way to prove the truth is to have a whole lot of questions. And right here on the thumbnail that we're looking at from a third eye point of view, not a bird eye point of view, and salute the 203 Low Game, the last one to send the cash out donation. Salute. He sponsored the last show. I forgot to give him a shout out though, because his donation came in after the show. So I apologize for the late shout out, but salute the 203 Low Game, loyal supporter. But this thumbnail, Hindustan in 1492. Everybody know what everybody know about 1492. That's a famous year. That's the year they discovered the New World, so-called New World, Americas, right? Hey, salute Maxine Cross in the house, tribal salute. Boom shakalaka. They discovered the New World in 1492. And discovering the so-called New World, America, they said Columbus was looking for a route to the Indies. But in 1492, there was no country known as India. No, notice what that said. In 1492, there was no country known. They're not talking about the unknown world. They're not talking about your world and my world. You know, we was in the unknown world to them. As far as they knew, all they knew was Euphrasia. Their known world was Euphrasia. And in 1492, there was no country in the known world as India. There was no country in Euphrasia called India in 1492. There was no Indies in Euphrasia in 1492. There were no East Indies. There was no India in their known world in 1492. There was no country known as India. Instead, that country was called Hindustan, my nigga. In the known world, boom shakalaka. In their world, the country was called Hindustan. Columbus knew all about Hindustan. It was part of his world. It was in his neighborhood in Euphrasia. If Columbus was looking for Hindustan and headed to Hindustan, he would have said it. Columbus never said he was looking for Hindustan. Something important about that. Because we got to understand, when I say the known world and the unknown world, and what Columbus said he was heading, we got to walk it down slow. And we just got to rely on the facts. The facts as they give them to us, whether they are true or false. But we walk back to the facts and we relate what they said to what we've learned. And right here, which we just talked about on the last live stream, they slowing me up a little bit. I'm trying to switch screens, but just bear with me. Trying to slow up the flow, but the flow already slow. I'm from down south. I'm a down south nigga. The flow already slow, my nigga. The flow already slow and screwed up, and I ain't even drunk, my nigga. I don't need no syrup, so they can't slow me down. They up my alley, slowing it down. I ain't got no problem with that. Slow it down. I'm still on track. But we talking the known world, the unknown world. It's moving very slow. Is my sound? Hey, y'all, hit me up in the chat and let me know if the sound coming through on time, or is they pausing me, because right now they freezing my screen. All right, now we where we need to be. So let me slow it down. Let me just slow down, because it's an important conversation we having, and I know they hating on it. I know they hating because my computer was running fine before I was going live, like it usually is. But it says right here on Google, where we looked at the other night, in response to a need for a new route to what they're trying to say is Asia. Now understand, a modern historian just wrote this, what we're reading right now. This was not written by Columbus, what we're reading. This was a modern day historian's explanation of what Columbus then was doing. And they're saying that in response to the need for a new route to Asia, Columbus never said Asia, he said the Indies, right? He never said Hindustan. He never said Asia, he said the Indies. By the 1480s, Christopher and his brother Bartholomew de las Casas. Did you know Christopher Columbus' brother was Bartholomew de las Casas? Hey, Obree's in the house. Tri-Bot salute. Everybody saying sound good? Okay. I don't know if a lot of people know Bartholomew de las Casas was Columbus' brother. I don't know if they was blood brothers or they got different daddies. They got different last names, or somebody got a code name, but I don't know what's going on. But Bartholomew and Columbus supposed to have been brothers. Christopher and his brother Bartholomew had developed a plan to travel to the Indies, not to Asia, not to Hindustan, to the Indies, sailing west across the Atlantic, Managa. They knew where they were going, India Superior. So when we see that Columbus knew that to get to India Superior, he had to go to so-called Cardinal West. Him and his brother Bartholomew developed a plan to travel to the Indies. And in 1492, in their known world, there was no country called India. Instead, that country was called Hindustan. So they knew they couldn't go so-called Cardinal East. They knew they had to go. They knew they couldn't go to Hindustan looking for India. Stephen Schoolman in the house. Tri-Bot salute. They knew they couldn't go to Hindustan to find India. They said, "Nah, we can't go that way." Columbus and his brother and them, Bartholomew, they went west. They went towards so-called America looking for India Superior. And so when we read these hijacks, we got to read all the way through them. When they talk about him and his brother Bartholomew. But the point I'm trying to make with this is that we got to understand what it says when they're talking about a known world and an unknown world. When they're telling you that it was no country called India in the known world, you got to understand they're talking about that part of the world. They're not talking about the whole world. They're not talking about America. So we got to make that distinction, because somebody gonna say, well, Black Jacket say there was no country called India in 1492. That don't mean the entire planet. They talking about in the known. There was no country known in their known world. This part of the world was unknown. So I'm making that point for a specific reason. It's a specific reason behind that point, because all you got to do, if you got an understanding of the known world at the time of Columbus, 1492. Now do you see where we're going with this? I knew I had to develop that. I had to repeat myself a couple of times, because we're in a learning prospect, and that's what you do when you learn. You repeat yourself sometimes when you're teaching and when you're learning, and it get ingrained in your memory. So when we talk about the known world at the time of Columbus, there it is highlighted. The Americas was unknown. The known world in their eyes was Euphrasia. Europe, Africa, and Asia. The known world at the time of Columbus in 1492. Over there, Europe, Africa, and Asia, and Hindustan. No India. Columbus didn't go east. Columbus didn't come out here in Europe and head cardinal east looking for India to so-called Asia. No, Columbus went west to the unknown world, because he knew that there was no country called India in their known world. He knew India's superior was in the unknown. I need to make that point clear. I need y'all to understand that. A map from 1898 showing the part of the world shown in white known to Europeans when Columbus sailed in 1492. The map shows Europe, northern Africa, including the west coast of Africa, explored by the Portuguese, blah blah blah. Eurasia, their known world. So now we understand, and we deciphering these sentences one by one, and these words we're reading, because I decipher words. I'm not a fast food naga. I take my time. Sometimes I even play with my food like a lion, my naga. I play with my food and eat slow, my naga. I need soul food. I don't need fast food. So when I read, forgive me, I'm slow sometimes. I repeat myself, because in 1492 there was no country known as India in the Europeans' known world. I'm making this point to make myself clear that Columbus knew exactly where he was going, and he knew where not to go if he was to find India superior. And if you got advanced knowledge, because you just ain't just playing around on the internet, you know what the TNO map is. The known world. The TNO map, or the orb or circle of the lands with the letter T inside O, also known as the Isidoran map, is a type of early world map. And yeah, we using Wikipedia. Wikipedia got the most added info about the TNO map. We can back out of it, and I can show you. It's not a lot of people know about the TNO map for some reason. But the most information you're going to find on it really going to be on this Wikipedia. So we just using that, plus others. We do got other sources. So don't think we just some old Wikipedia researchers. Nah, we use all the sources. Orb or circle of the lands with the letter T inside of O, also known as Isidoran map, is a type of early world map that represents the known world, represents the world geography as first described by the 7th century scholar Isidore of Seville, and later in his etymologies. So you see the TNO map, and they call it the TNO map because it's shaped like a T, or O with a T in the middle. It got Asia, it got Europe, and it got Africa. It got Eurasia, their side of the world. They know nothing about India superior in the Americas. They only know about Asia, Europe, and Africa. Remember, this is a new world to them. And they so dumb, and they only knowing about their part of the world, but they knowing about the story of the tribes of Israel, and they knowing about the story of the Most High, right? That they got from us, really, from that our ancestors left to them. And they said Asia was Shem because they lost. They don't know Asia is not Shem. The Americas is for Shem and the seed of Jacob. Salute. They know this at the time of this map. They didn't know. They thought the people in Asia was the seeds of Shem. They labeled Europe as Japhet, and they labeled Africa as the sons of Ham. It say Sham. It's Ham. Ham, Japhet. Japhet like Lafayette. Japhet, Shem, Asia, in their known world, as if the Most High didn't know that America existed with people in it, as if the Most High said, you know what, forget about them niggas in America, we ain't gonna add them. This is the Europeans' known world, what was known to them at the time. They didn't know about the America. The Most High knew. Of course, he placed his seed away from the eyes of the Gentiles, which is Eurasia, the eyes of the Gentiles. The TNO map is just the eyes of the Gentiles. That's Eurasia. Of course, he placed the blessed seed away from them. It's written, my naga. He placed you in a whole nother hemisphere, a whole nother bloodline, way a whole nother tribe, way across a whole nother hemisphere in the unknown world where India exists. And where India exists, the Indians exist. Let me pause the lesson for a minute. I know we be rocking out to my little track, the West Indian, and I use this terminology for a reason. Calling up, peace to the tribe up with me. I use this terminology about us for a reason, because it distinctly applies to us. The West Indian is the only Indian. The West Indian is the Indian. Is the West Indies is the Indies. The West is just a misnomer. I use it because it's attached to us in history and on paper, and it's written. And they did it not knowing what they was doing. They was sloppy with their work. They was calling you a West Indian and everything. They were so sloppy with their work, and you was only, in words, was the only people being called West Indians. And they told on themselves. The exact people Columbus ran into, the West Indian, they told on themselves. And when you search, and the reason why I know some people don't like the term West Indian because they looking at it from a colonizer point of view. A brain. If you don't like the term West Indian, it's because you, my brother, happen to be looking at it from an indoctrinated point of view. You believe what the colonizer done told you, that the West Indian applies to the Caribbean, but you just don't know history well enough, my friend. And the Indies, it's what Columbus was really referring to. Columbus never said West Indies. Columbus said the Indies. They added West Indies when they created the East Indies to make a separation. Just like when they created black, they created white, and they created the N-word to change these titles. You have to have a deeper point of view. The only reason I'm using West Indian, because I know it distinctly applies to our people. It separates us from the so-called fake East Indians, which are really the Hindus. That's why I use the term. The West Indian is simply the real Indian. We know this, but we have to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere, and we have to separate ourselves from everybody else. And they did it for us. And that's why when you search of what a West Indian people look like, or the West Indian slaves, it's the Naga. I don't use these terms because it's cute and I like them. Our ancestors ain't called themselves West Indians, but historically they called us that, and they told on themselves about the indigenous people of the land. So when I use these terms, forgive me if you don't like them, but you need to understand. When you look at the file of a West Indian slave, because when you understand you ain't an ADOS, and it wasn't no transatlantic slave trade, the slave trade was right here. And you understand when you look up West Indian people, it only applies to you. It only applies to you. It's funny. The people on the Dawes Roads calling themselves Cherokees and all these other fictitious tribes and calling themselves Native Americans. Columbus came and enslaved West Indians, and you don't even call yourself that. You're telling on yourself at every turn because you're sloppy. Your lies, you are so sloppy with lies on top of lies. And I see through every last one of them. Because in your known world, the Americas ain't even exist. Columbus got the drop somehow. He knew where India superior was at. And he knew where the Indies was at and the Indians was at. He never said West Indian. He never said East Indian. He said the Indies. Because in response to the need for a new route to not Asia to India superior, by the 1480s, Christopher and his brother Bartholomew had developed a plan to travel to the Indies. And he called the people he encountered Indians. And his brother, and it wasn't no mistake. It wasn't no mistake where he landed. Columbus wrote himself in his own diary that he was looking for the promised land. His ultimate goal was to reach Jerusalem. In India Superior, Managa, the land of the Presta, Managa. He wrote all about it. And his brother Bartholomew even wrote about it. If you listen to these hijacks talking about Columbus mistakenly came to America and that India was over in the eyes of the Gentiles, he talking about Hindustan, India, you are a fool. Columbus' own brother wrote the proof that they knew they had found the Indies. He wrote the devastation of the Indies, my nigga. This was no mistake. And yeah, the Nagas getting hung was your ancestors. You know all about that. They just lied about where they was from. Hey, salute the ambush predator. Salute. Boom shakalaka! Yeah, the Nagas that connect with getting hung, burned, and enslaved is you, not them. The devastation of the Indies, a brief account by Bartholomew de las Casas, the brother of Columbus. He not only wrote that, he wrote the destruction of the Indies. A short account of the destruction of the Indies by Bartholomew de las Casas. He knew exactly where he was at. He didn't say he was in the West Indies. He didn't say, oh, we ain't find the East Indies. We was looking for the East Indies and we accidentally ended up in the West Indies. He said none of that. He said we found the Indies and we destroyed it. Written in 1542, published in 1552. And it's funny. The short account of destruction of the Indies in 1542. Now remember, let's go to this. We're going to come back to this. In 1542, Columbus' brother Bartholomew de las Casas wrote the destruction of the Indies. But don't you remember? Let's go back to Google. When was so-called the East Indies? Man, see, they trying to hijack. When was the so-called East Indies even discovered? I'm just put mentioned, man. They're trying to hijack me. In the mid 15th century, right? Well, let's just put discovered. So-called East Indies. We just talked about it the other night. When was the East Indies discovered? 1498, May 20th, 1498. So if the East Indies was discovered, was it the so-called, okay, so if the so-called West Indies was discovered in 1492 and the so-called East Indies was discovered 7 years later, then why is even further after that? Because 44 years later, after 1498, after the fake East Indies was created, 44 years after that, Columbus' brother Bartholomew said, F that, the Indies is America. He wrote a book about how they destroyed it. See, numbers don't lie. You created the East Indies 7 years after you found the real Indies in America and the real Indians. You went and invaded Hindustan, changed the name of Hindustan to the East Indies 7 years after Columbus came here. And then 44 years later, Bartholomew brother, Columbus' brother Bartholomew, wrote his book saying, no, a short account of the destruction of the Indies, and we ain't talking Hindustan, you hijack. Boom shakalaka! And I rest my case. And I rest my case, my naga. Because the West Indian is the Indian, is the bone savage, my naga. And it's so funny because these West Indians, they looking and dressing just like the so-called Caribs with their head wraps on, just like the so-called Carib Indians, like the great chief Joseph Chateau, the great so-called Carib chief Joseph Chateau, who was just an Arawak. See, one thing about the truth allows you just to connect dots when you know the truth. The truth allows you to just connect dots over and over again. A lie don't just, A lie, when people lie, it just give you 100 ways to dissect it and break their lies down. Yosef Shatoya, my nigga. The Carib Indian chief, tobacco Indian, smoking on his peace pipe, my nigga, like we done broke down. See, we dissect over here in the House of Cons. One thing about us, we dissect everything individually. From the point of the view of an artist, my nigga, we very detailed over here. We miss nothing, and we break the details down one by one, from the jewelry, from the hoop earrings and the pearl necklaces, to the peace pipe, to the war pipe, my nigga, to the head wraps. We break it all down. And it's so funny that the so-called Carib Indian, who's a really Arawak, he looked just like the West Indian slaves. The hijacker turn around and tell you, oh, you don't even know the history. You don't know the culture. I laugh at these fake Native Americans. You don't know the history, or you don't know the culture. Hijack, you don't know. But in their known world, my naga. But let's now. I just want to break some of that down. Let's go back to the destruction. Let's go back to Bartholomew Columbus' brother account of the destruction of the Indies, my naga. Let's go back to that and read from that. Now that's what I wanted to get back to right here. It showed account of the destruction of the Indies. Bartholomew said, man, I don't care if y'all going over there in 1498 talking about y'all done found East India, man. The destruction over the Indies is over here in America. That's what Columbus' brother said. I ain't say it. Columbus' brother said it. And I believe him. Presentation by Bishop Don Fray Bartholomew de la Casas. Or Caucus. Look, Caucus. Is that, I don't know what that say. I don't know. Hey, Ambush Predator ain't tell you I was streaming. Yeah, they got a hijack, man. They got a hijack. Hey, Ambush Predator, I had, man. But I done mailed your package about 3 times. I swear. Customs sent you live in Canada, so I keep doing something wrong. Customs sent it back to me twice. I just mailed it for a 3rd time, and every time they send it, they be holding it for a minute. But I had paid like $50 to send it to you. I was like, this has been too long. I hope you get it soon, man. I put everything you wrote down for your address on there, man. And I paid for the little expedited little shit. I filled out the customs slip. I hope you get it, man. Hey, Stephen Scooby say the East India Company. Nah, that's later hijack. Cause remember, East India wasn't even created till 1498. Remember, Columbus never said he was going to East India. He never said he was going to West India. This is what he said. He was going to Columbus said he was looking for a route to the Indies. Him and his brother Bartholomew, and they landed in the Americas. That's all we know. He said he was looking for a route to the Indies. He didn't specify East or West. East or West didn't exist at the time. It was only the Indies, and he came over here. And it blew up from there. So he must was on to something. That's the main point. The evidence that we got. Those are the facts that we have. And when we walk down the dates, it all makes sense. But Bishop Don Fray Bartholomew de la Caucus, to the Most High and Potent Lord. Hold on, man. Let me watch this blasphemy. His Most High and Potent Lord is not my Most High and Potent Lord. So let me back that up. Presentation by Bishop Don Fray Bartholomew de la Caucus of His Most High and Potent Lord, Prince of all the Spains, Don Felipe, their Lord. See, I gotta be careful when I'm reading because I don't speak blasphemy. I have to edit my words even when I'm reading because I'm not. The tongue is powerful, and I ain't gonna put myself under no crazy spells. His Most High and Potent Lord. Because he writing to a man, because divine providence has ordered in this world that for the direction and common utility of the human lineage, the world be constituted by kingdoms and peoples, with their kings like fathers and shepherds, as Homer has called them, and therefore the most noble and generous members of the republics. For that reason, no doubt of the rectitude of the royal spirits of those kings may be held, or with right reason might be held,
And if any wrongs, failings, defects, or evils should be suffered in those kingdoms, the only reason for that is that the kings have no notice of them. For these wrongs and etc., if they present and report it, it is the duty of the king with greatest study and vigilant industry to root them out. Considering the most potent Lord, his most important Lord, the evils and harm, the perditions and ruin, the equals or likes of which never were men imagined capable of doing, considering, as I say, those evils which as man of 50 years and more experience, being in those lands, India superior in America, present, I have seen committed upon those so many, and such great kingdoms, or in such great kingdoms, or better said, that entire vast and new world, unknown world of the Indies. Not the East Indies, not the West Indies, the Indies, the real Indies. India superior, my nigga. They knew back then. They are lying today about this stuff. Lands conceded and given in trust by God, by his God and his church, to the king and queen of Castile. His God is our devil. They took our lands and enslaved us, and he's talking about God to rule and govern them, convert them to believe in Zeus, my nigga, in Christ, and the Holy Zeus, a Holy Ghost, my nigga, some demonic evil, my nigga. The Catholic Church are booty demons, and give them to prosper temporarily and spiritually. This subject was not able to contain himself from supplicating with his majesty, most importunely, that his majesty not concede such license, nor allow those terrible things that the tyrants did invent, pursue, and have committed against those peaceable, humble, and meek Indian people who offend no person. The Indies, my nigga. Salute. Salute, my nigga. The Indies, my nigga. Into among these gentle sheep, endowed by their maker and creator with all the qualities aforesaid, did creep the Spaniards, who no sooner had knowledge of these people than they became like fierce wolves and tigers and lions, who have gone many days without food or nourishment. They were cannibals, my nigga. And no other things have they done for 40 years until this day, and still today see fit to do, but dismember, slay, perturb, afflict, torment, and destroy the Indians by all manner of cruelty, new and divers and most singular manners, such as never before seen or read of or heard of, some few of which shall be recounted below. And they do this to such a degree that on the island of so-called Hispaniola, talking about Haiti, my nigga, ancient Haiti, my nigga, the land of high mountains, my nigga, of the above 3 million souls that we once saw, today there be no more than 200 of those native people remaining, because you moved them all around to South Carolina and Virginia and other places, and then you took Nagas from Virginia and South Carolina and you moved them there. You swapped our people out, and it's still all cons. So when I hear people disrespecting the Caribbean and people ignorant talking about what a West Indian is and what it ain't, it's blasphemy in my ears, because they don't know real history. And they don't know the Caribbean is where Columbus monkey ass landed at. The island of Cuba is almost as long as from Valladolid to Rome. Because they tell you they killed all these Indians, but we know it's not true. The genocide was on paper. They reclassified them as Negroes, enslaved them, and told them they was Afro something. And they moved them to different places like the jail system do today. And it's proof and it's written in the history. The island of San Juan, Puerto Rico, and that of Jamaica, large and well favored and lovely islands both, have been laid waste on the isles of the Lucayos, where there were once above 500,000 Nagas. Today there is not a living creature, because they moved the Nagas out to make room for their people, and they brought other Nagas from other parts of America like Virginia and enslaved them there. And Columbus even showed you on his trip back to Castillo, where the Indians, the so-called West Indians that he never called West Indians, he simply said they are Indians. He took them back, he enslaved them, and he took them back to Castile with him. He showed you exactly what they looked like. They wasn't long-haired red man hijacked from so-called Asia. Columbus showed you exactly what they looked like. We're going to go back to it one more time for reference sake. Columbus showed you what the Indians, the people of the Indies, looked like when he returned to Castile and he enslaved them. And they claim they were all killed. They killed a lot of our people, but they enslaved a lot of our people and moved them around. You know, they divide and conquer. That's why there's so many records of our people getting moved away from here. The story being told in reverse. The island of San Juan, Puerto Rico, and that of Jamaica, large and well favored and lovely islands both, have been laid waste on the Isles of the Lucayos, where there were once above 500,000 souls. You know, like the so-called maroon tribes, the people they was trying to enslave. They were not slaves that broke free. They were just indigenous people on the land. They were never slaves that broke free. They were indigenous people on the land that you tried to enslave, and you lied about them, saying they from Africa because they black. Oh, he gotta be an escaped slave. He done blended in and intermarried with the Indians. He black. He gotta be from Africa. Lies, lies, lies. Two principal and general customs have been employed by those calling themselves Christians. You know, those cannibals who have passed this way in extirpating and striking from the face of the earth those suffering nations. They first being unjust, cruel, bloody, and tyrannical warfare. The other having slain all those who might yearn toward or aspire after or think of freedom, or consider escaping from the torments that they are made to suffer. By which I mean all the native born lords and adult males, for it is the Spaniards' custom in their wars to allow only young boys and females to live. So you know, they murdered all the people capable of war, and they keep the young so they can indoctrinate them, teach them they somebody else, steal the land easily and enslave the young people, right? You know, you could tell these young people anything. If you remove their ancestors and their elders by death or torture or slavery, you could easily enslave the babies and teach them whatever you want to teach them. If you teach them that they from Africa, they'll get some Pan-African pride and won't even fight you for a land, for their ancestral land. They won't even fight you for their ancestral land if they don't know it's theirs. They'll simply tuck their tail between their legs like a scared puppy, biatch, and run to Africa. The cause for which the so-called Christians have slain and destroyed so many and such infinite numbers of souls. And some of y'all Nagas call yourself a Christian. That's why, like, I know Nagas I know personally calling themselves a Christian. When they argue with me about Jesus and stuff, I laugh at them. I have no respect for Christianity. Y'all know me. Y'all know me. I have no respect for any of those idolatrous religions. I have no respect for any of them. Any Islam, I have no respect for any of those religions. Monaga Judaism, I have no respect for any of them. I disrespect them on sight. I don't care, because I know what they did. The cause for which these so-called Christians have slain and destroyed so many and such infinite numbers of people, of souls, have been simply to get as their ultimate end the Indians' goal of them, and to stuff themselves with riches in very few days, and to raise themselves to high estates without proportion in their birth or breeding. It should be noted, yeah, still the gold, still the land. Teach them children they from somewhere else. Teach all them new Negroes today, 2024. Teach them a Pan-African pride. They'll abandon their homeland. And then you get over in the other hemisphere, and you ain't even equipped, because you a creature from another place. You ain't even equipped to live over there. You would need all kind of shots and antibodies just to stay alive. Soon as one of they little flies bite your ass, you a goner. Why you think you got to get all these kind of injections for you to go over there? You ain't supposed to be over there in the eyes of the Gentile. You ain't no Gentile. And they ain't supposed to be over here. That's why these viruses and plagues happen. Y'all think this is a game if you want to. They want your stuff, though. They want to stuff themselves with your stuff. They got a lot of you. They know they can't move you, so they just had a lot of you. Reclassify you, tell you ain't an Indian no more. This is not even Indian Superior. Indian Superior? What's that? This is America. Tell you a whole new story, so you won't connect the dots with being what an Indian really is. So you would think being an Indian is something totally different because you've been fooled. You think being an Indian is being a Hindu.
You big dummy.
Or you think it's being a Native American. You think being an Indian is a Native American. Look how backwards they got you. Without proportion of their birth or breeding, this should be noted, owing to insatiable greed, insatiable. They got an insatiable greed, Managa. They can't even satisfy these colonizers. They gotta have it all. An ambition that they have had, which has been greater than any the world has ever seen before. When they got the Indian Superior, all the Indians in India Superior, of all the Indies, the East ones, the West ones, no, all the Indies. Oh, all the Indies was there, huh? So it wasn't no Indies nowhere else. No, it was all the Indies right there. Never once did aught hurt or wrong these Christians, but rather held them to be descended from heaven. This is in their eyes. This is Bartholomew writing this. He say he just jacking his own sausage, talking about we didn't see, our ancestors ain't see them like that. Talking about heaven from the sky. This is hijack. Christians' many acts of wrongful harm, theft, murder, violence, and vexation. Las Casas proceeds to recount specific acts of cruelty perpetrated on the peoples of Haiti, Managa, San Juan, Puerto Rico. Notice when they put Hispaniola, they ain't even put Haiti, because they still got animosity against the ancient Asians, Managa, for taking their land back and renaming it to the ancient name, Managa. And all you gotta do is study real history to find out. They is mad at the Haitians. That's why they trying to colonize them right now. They talking about the people of Hispaniola. Bitch, that's Haiti. That's ancient Haiti, Managa. San Juan, oh, you can put that in parentheses, Puerto Rico, huh? You ain't too mad at them. Jamaica, Cuba, Nicaragua, New Spain, Mexico. Talking about New Spain. That's the Mexica. That's the land of Moses, you fool. The Yucatan, Managa. Like the Juca, Managa. They trying to tell you the Juca from Africa. Nigga, the Juca from the Yucatan, you stupid fool. People don't even know linguistics, man. I'm tired of playing with people. The Guatemala, Managa. Venezuela, Managa. The Peru, Managa, like Jerusalem, Managa. Grenada. And other small so-called Caribbean islands. And La Florida, Managa, the part of the, all this is the West Indies, Managa. All this is the Indies, not the West Indies. This is the Indies, Managa. If you in Carolina, you in the Indies. If you in California, you in the Indies. If you in Canada, you in the Indies. If you in Venezuela, you in the Indies, Managa. Anywhere in Mexico, you in the Indies. In North America, you in the Indies, my naga. Let's set the record straight. The ignorance has to come to an end, my naga. Testament. I, he, she. I don't even know what his pronoun is, y'all. Is it a he, she, they, them? He talking about I ain't write this. He, she, they, them. Fray Bartholomew de la Casas or Caucus, friar of the order, ain't no Saint Dominic or Saint Dominic, who by the mercy of their God am here today in this court of Spain, was persuaded by the same notable persons residing in this court to set down an accounting of the hell that is the Indies. You mean Hindustan? Nope, the real Indies, India Superior. Interesting. So that those infinite masses of souls redeemed by the blood of Zeus, Jesus, may not die for all eternity without any help for it, but rather know their creator and be your creator, not ours, and be saved. And by the compassion that I have for his native land, which is Castile, which is in Euphrasia, he prayed to his God not destroy it for the great sins. He praying that they don't destroy Euphrasia for the sins they committed against his faith and honor in the Indies, what they did to our ancestors and us today. I have great hope that the Emperor, the King of Spain, their Lord, Don Carlos, that's King Charles. You son of a bitch, Don Carlos. Bitch, you ain't no Don. That's King Charles Carlos. I know what that means. That's Charles. Charles the Fifth of that name may come to understand, for until now the truth has always been most industriously covered over. The acts of malice and treachery which have been and still are being done upon those nations and lands against the will of their God and his own, and that he may bring an end to so many evils and bring relief to that so-called new world, the real old world, India Superior, which their God has given him. Their God is our devil, as the lover and cultivator as he is of justice, for political as well as religious reasons, including the evidence from Las Casas. King Charles issued the new laws of the Indies. The new laws of where? West Indies? No, the Indies. Where? The East Indies? The Hindustan? No, the Indies. The real Indies. In 1542, to moderate the treatment of the Indians, the real Indians. Where? In Hindustan? No. In so-called America, Indian Superior. The new laws were opposed and ignored by most colonial officials in Spanish America. Now that's just a brief account of the destruction of the and dodge these little hijacks of the pictures, but notice what they got. Look how they're dressed. With the destruction of the Indies, they're burning people, committing all kind of evil. These Christians, Managa, these evil ass Zeus worshiping Christians in the name of Jesus, Managa, and you got the nerve to pray to Jesus at night, Managa. I don't care about your God, Managa. Fuck Jesus, Managa.
Shakalaka!
And Allah too, Managa. And that's on King David, Managa. We don't worship idols over here at the House of Khans. Yeah, all the stuff they told you they did to the so-called Africans. And it's funny, because look how he dressed. He dressed just like these so-called West Indians. He dressed just like Joseph Chachor. He dressed just like hold on, let me find it. He almost dressed like these knockers playing stick battle. With these loin cloths that we done seen on our people over and over again and being enslaved. Another time, because the Indians did not give him a coffer filled with gold, they killed an infinite number of souls and cut off the hands and noses of countless women and men, and others they threw to the savage dogs who ate them and tore them to pieces. You know, dodge the hijack, cutting off arms. You think they doing white on white crime? Hell no. You know who they did this to. Who they terrorized with these stories today. Yeah, we were cutting your foot off. And they turn around and tell you Kunti Kinte. Nah, nigga. In the Indies, my nigga. They switching the story out. It was you. They telling you from Africa though, and telling you the same damn story. And then on paper, when they do tell the story about the Indians, they whitewash it. Who got the stories about being slaves and being hung, my nigga? Who get picked at and made fun at talking about you a freedman? Talking about we hung your ancestors. You think white people was getting hung? No. They whitewash this just like they do your images, my niggas. But the only one connect with the story of being hung is you. Africans don't even connect with being hung. You do. Fake Native Americans do not connect with being hung. You do. Fake Native Americans are not called West Indians. You are. West Indian people. It ain't no red man in these Indian gazettes. All of them filled with you. Columbus knew exactly where he was going. He knew exactly who the people was. He knew they spoke Hebrew. That's why he took a Hebrew interpreter. He knew they was the lost tribes, not a religion. He enslaved the Hebrew slaves and he took them back to show them off. It's that simple. I don't care if you call yourself a West Indian or an Indian. I'm playing they or just simply just an Indian. I'm playing their game. I'm using West Indian because their hands are very dirty, my nigga. And that word applies to no one else. Can't no one tag along with West Indian but Nagas. I don't care if the Naga from Jamaica, the Caribbean, or California. It applies to you. They're talking about the greater so-called West in the unknown world, my nigga. West, when they say West Indian, they don't mean the Caribbean down here. They don't mean this. They mean all of this is their cardinal West. I don't care if you in Canada. They calling you a West Indian now. But it's simply just the Indies. You're simply an Indian. So you gotta use West Indian to specify yourself from the fake Indian of Hindustan. So you use their West Indian hijack because at the end of the day they're still telling on themselves. And at the end of the day, when we keep walking it back to real history, see, we gotta start somewhere. We can start with West Indian. You and I know the West Indian is the real Indian. Let's get their head straight first with West Indian. Then we'll walk it down. Once they accepting that and they can't deny the truth, then we bust them in the head with the big joke and say, bitch, the West Indian is the real Indian and the only Indian.
Shakalaka!
You gotta take baby steps. You gotta crawl before you walk sometime, Managa. Don't just jump out the window. You gotta take these steps for our people to understand. To this day, a lot of people don't understand how we Indians because they don't know what an Indian is. So you gotta start somewhere with these Nagas. You gotta start with West Indian with these Nagas. To get these Nagas head on first because it relate to them and they see it look like them. And then once you get Nagas to see that the West Indian is you and I, It ain't but a matter of time before it's just the Indian, Managa. Open your fucking third eye, Managa. This is not a bird eye point of view. This is a third eye point of view, Managa. Do not miss the forest for the trees. Melvin Jones in the house, tribe up. Whooping and enslaving people, huh? Who getting whooped on? The Cherokees don't be talking about their ancestors getting whooped. They said, nah, Naga, you was on the freedman road. They say they was enslaving you. What is these? The Cherokees with the whips? The Cherokees are just the colonizers, and they took off the colonizer clothes and put on feathers on, talking about we the Cherokees now. This our land. We the natives. The cannibal Christians eating people, and thus preying and nursing women and children and old people and any others that they might take. They would throw them into the holes until the pits were filled. The Indians being pierced through by the stakes, which was a sore thing to see, especially the women with their children. And you know, they buried them, a lot of them still alive, and let them die, buried alive. And then these hungry bastards couldn't even feed themselves. They still had to rely on Nagas to teach them how to eat and grow stuff on our land. But before they did all that, they had to dig up dead bodies and resort to cannibalism.
Shakalaka!
Big dummy. Sick your
You know about all the
$5
stories
down
about y'all
for me.
digging up the bodies of Nagas and eating them. And then you calling us cannibals, and you putting doing diverses on us though. You doing a whole lot of projecting. Region of the Indias, Indicarum, Hispaniols, man, this old Fort Tongue shit right here. That Fort Tongue shit, they language, Managa. Yeah, a short account of the destruction of the Indies, not the West Indies, not even of America, of the Indies. The India Superior, Managa. It's not a short account of the destruction of the Americas, Managa. No, 1492 was no such thing. It was India Superior. 1492 was India Superior in the unknown world. Not in their world, Managa. Not in their world, in our world. Not on the T&O map. Not in their known world at the time of Columbus in 1492. Columbus was headed to the Indies in the unknown world. In 1492, there was no country in the known, no country known as India in the known world. So don't go for the lies talking about he was lost and went the wrong way. He went west trying to go to Hindustan, trying to go to east. Hey, Fred Johnson, Montoine, indigenous Aboriginal Indian, okay. Hey, Ambush Predator setting out, man. Ambush Predator, the big time supporter, man. God dang, boy, Ambush Predator, boy, you be doing the most. That nigga done, he done gifted half a YouTube membership. Man, y'all better, hey, man, hey, Ambush Predator in here balling, man. These ladies finna be looking at Ambush Predator some kind. They finna be feeling some type of way. He lit up on the screen. Hey, boy, they finna be feeling some type of way, Ambush Predator. You better put, Ambush Predator, man, put the wallet up, bro. Put your wallet up, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Boom shakalaka!
Yeah. Ambush Predator about to get him a new old lady up in this piece, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, well, we gonna keep connecting these dots, y'all. I hope y'all enjoying the presentation. Y'all know I'm about to get back at it I'm about to drill them again, man. I sat back a little while and watched. It'd be hard to sit back and watch sometimes, but sometimes it's necessary. I just be wanting to see what everybody else got sometimes. And is everybody on track? And then, you know, even a lot of our people mean well, the mistakes be made, but they still mean well, even though they make mistakes. Like, but this knowledge, man, make no mistake about it. We can't afford to make mistakes about what we talking about. It's some odd Nagas from the Americas, from India Superior. They got more love for Nagas in Africa than they do for Nagas in the Caribbean. That's dead wrong. You can't have more love for Africa than you got for Nagas in your own home in India Superior. The so-called Caribbean is part of India Superior. Those are your brethren. They're not tethers. In fact, I'm from Florida, my Naga. I'm your brother. I'm your brother whether you in California, Canada, or South America. I'm still your brother, my Naga. I'm over here in Florida, my Naga. I'm still your brother whether you from over here. We related, my Naga. You from the tribe, my Naga. This tribe, this ain't religious. This tribe, my Naga. This bloodline. You an Israelite whether you want to be or not. You ain't even, you act like you got some kind of choice. You act like you got some kind of choice. What you gonna do? Take all your blood out and change your blood? You still my brother. And in fact, look how close I am to the I'm closer to the Caribbean, to Haiti, to Puerto Rico, to all these islands for the brethren that people be calling tethers. I'm closer to them than I am to places like Washington D.C. I'm a Florida Naga to the bone, my Naga. I'm closer to Haiti than I can get to Haiti and the hop, skip, and the jump before I can get to Cali or Washington D.C., my Naga. So y'all gotta understand, I find it disrespectful when we disrespect our own. We gotta be smarter than this. We gotta be on the highest frequency, my Naga. We gotta understand the truth about who we are in totality, my Naga. What make you think when Columbus monkey ass landed in Haiti, not far from me in Florida, that the people in Haiti, the Nagas there, went through anything less than you? My screen don't went. They trying to hijack. They don't like what's going on. I see what's going on. We about to wrap it up anyway, but they clearly don't like this. There's a lot of hijacking going on right now. I don't know what just happened to my screen, y'all. This is crazy. It's alright though. Let me just take it back to the intro screen, man. I ain't mad. They tripping. Yeah. Dang, it's that serious though. Hijack ain't playing. Hijack ain't playing. As soon as I start going live, my computer will go right back to normal. It was something else funny that I noticed too about what we was researching. How they watching us because some stuff we talked about on the live stream last night. I ran the same search back and they already done edited the search. It don't even come up the same way, which is crazy in my eyes. That's how I know, like, we making an impact, even if it's an indirect impact. We make a impact over here that might be small, right? The impact we make over here might be small. I got about 3,500 subscribers. The most I get is maybe about 300 views on the live stream, unless I done tricked the algorithm and broke in somehow. I got a few videos that might get a couple thousand views, but the majority of my views, it'd be about like 300 views or so, 200 something views. But so we got a small impact far as like directly, but indirectly, I think we got a major impact, because I know we be affecting other creators. I know there's other content creators out here that got bigger followings than me. They affected by what me and y'all doing over here, because they be watching on the low. They be ninja watching. They be ninja watching.
Hey family.
Shut up!
They be watching in the background, and then they be going making. I ain't mad. They be going remixing the Naga content and making videos on it because they got a bigger following. They like, no one to know. I stole this from the House of Cons. Hey, it's funny though, but we making the impact indirectly. So even when they hijack us and they go remix the stuff we be on over here, I ain't even mad no more. I used to be mad at it first because y'all know I'm a proud for Naga. I tell y'all I'm proud for Naga. Hey, so at first I was mad, but it's funny because I'm like, you know what? I ain't even mad because even though they hijacking our research, remixing what we doing over here, thumbnails and everything, shit we pointing out, the details we studying, they helping raise awareness, and indirectly it's still our impact. So if 10 different content creators come through on the low, eavesdrop, bite off of Naga shit, and they got bigger followings, they just remixing our stuff, so we still winning. Cause it's like, even though we only got 3,500 people, like they ain't gonna give us no shout out, especially if they got like way more, cause they don't want nobody to know they stealing. They don't want nobody to know they don't remix what's going on over here. So they ain't gonna be like, hey man, shout out to the House of Cons. Naga's got 20,000, 50,000 subscribers, 10,000 subscribers. They definitely not finna be like, hey man, shout out to the House of Cons, man. He was on this and we was watching. They ain't gonna do that shit. Even though that's like the right thing to do, cause you know, the most important thing is the message. So everybody say, like me, if I was, like me, I'd be putting everybody on. If I was on like that, that's the thing about me. I'd just be putting everybody on just to help the message spread. I ain't even tripping. Especially like people that got original content that's out here just tearing it up, like UBTV. That's my boy there. I don't know UBTV like that, but I like UBTV content. Like I be pushing his content. A lot of people don't know this. I push UBTV. I push that Naga. Cause I like what he doing. You know what I'm saying? I used to push a lot of other people too, but I fell back on all that shit. I'm like, man, I'm gonna just keep the shit tight. You know what I'm saying? Cause I'm like, Naga's is wild out here. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna keep nailing the truth. And we gonna keep affecting everybody else. We gonna force everybody else to have to go with what we, cause they gonna just have to beat us at what we saying. That's all to it. Like if they don't like what we doing, how we doing it, what we saying, well, do better, beat us at what we saying, prove it your way then. And use the historical records to back it up. Don't come up here making up names cause you like how something sound. Talking about I like how this one sound and we made it up. No, Naga. That's not how we get what's ours back. We gotta be like investigators, my Naga. We gotta use the historical records and we gotta pinpoint the truth and pull out the evidence that people cannot ignore and force it down their throat, my Naga. Hey man, I'm Blackjack, man. This is the House